All right, Nico, can you say, welcome to another episode of Healthy Births, Happy Babies?
It's a happy episode. Happy babies.
Welcome back to another episode of Healthy Births, Happy Babies. I'm Dr. Jay Warren. I'm the prenatal and pediatric chiropractor here at the CAP Wellness Center. And if you've been a regular listener, you know that this podcast is all about helping you have a proactively healthy pregnancy so you can have a safe, natural, unmedicated birth. And that's going to allow you to bring your baby into the world that much more safely and gently and allow them to start off their lives healthy and strong. And today's episode is a story about one couple doing just that. Amanda and HR are a couple that went through the CAP Wellness Center birth education classes and our wellness services here. And last year we were documenting that process. We did 3 different interviews with them. If you haven't listened to those, you can look at parts 1, 2, and 3 in iTunes and get their story. And we did all of those things leading up to the birth. And then as life goes, once the birth happened, life got busy. They moved away from the state. We were in contact and keeping in touch, but we didn't do the final wrap up to let you listeners know how the birth went. And so today we have that conversation for you. There were actually a lot of listeners wondering what happened to Amanda and HR and their little baby. They were actually wondering if maybe something went sideways with the birth and not as expected. And that's why we didn't do a follow-up, because we were having this series. We're having a baby naturally and wondered if something went awry. And we'll let Amanda and HR describe what happened exactly. It's an amazing story. We're really happy to be able to connect again. It was great talking with them once again and to hear just how things went. So again, if you haven't heard the other parts of the story and you want to hear about their process, go and listen to those. It was about a year ago. So let me take a quick word from our sponsor, the CAP Wellness Center, and then we'll come right back to hear their story.
Hi, I'm Maring Higa, and I'm the acupuncturist at CAP Wellness Center. One of the things I love about working at CAP Wellness Center is getting to be around all the brave, strong, and inspiring women. I'm always inspired by my patients' ability to rise to their challenges, overcome obstacles, and also get creative in their pursuit towards their health goals. I feel honored to be part of their journey, whether it's helping them to start a family, have a healthy pregnancy, or helping them through their postpartum recovery.
All right, so let's switch over to my conversation with Amanda and HR. All right, Amanda, HR, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Congratulations are in order. I mean, last time that we spoke on the podcast, it was right before your baby's birth, and that was really it was a year ago, right? Because Barrett's birthday was on the 29th, yeah?
Uh-huh.
Good. How was his first birthday?
It was great. We recently moved, at the beginning of the year, we moved to Arizona, so we actually went back home to San Diego for his birthday party to have it with all our friends and family there, and it was really nice.
That's fun. Well, yeah, there's tons to catch up on since it's been a whole year. So it has been a year. Last time we talked, as I said, was right before the birth, and we want to share with our listeners, how the birth went, and also share with just how these months and year has gone with your little boy. So let's go back to around birth time. The last time we talked, you'd finished your classes. You'd finished hypnobirthing. You'd taken the newborn class, getting ready for things, and then I think that was a couple of weeks before. It was kind of mid-June-ish that we were talking. So take us back to kind of the days before you started labor and then that process.
Okay. So Barrett's due date or guest date was June 23rd. And that day I was feeling, at the end of pregnancy, I think it's pretty normal to feel kind of uncomfortable and everything. And, you're just feeling it really at that point. But
really ready.
Yeah, really ready. But I wasn't rushed to have him come. I think a lot of moms are like, oh, get this baby out of me. Mm-hmm. I was just enjoying it. And I think, I feel really blessed that I had a pretty good pregnancy. So I was in, and also maybe just, with it being the first kid, I don't know if I felt like I was 100% ready, or there was still things I wanted to get done before he came, but I wasn't really in any rush for him to come. I was just like, take your time, baby. When you're ready, you can, you come out, we'll be here.
Good for you.
And so the day of his due date, it was a nice sunny day, and I just put on my bathing suit and went to the pool and just laid out in the sun and just enjoyed the day. And his due date came and went, and then about a week later, on the 29th, it was another nice sunny day, and my dad was hanging out with me, and so we decided to go for a swim. And so I had like a kickboard in the pool for me to just hang on to, and I just kind of swam back and forth in the pool. Nothing intense, just kind of leisurely swimming back and forth and enjoying the day and company. And that, I think, is probably what kind of maybe set things into motion, because I probably swam in the pool for an hour or two and just hanging out. And I hadn't, at that point, up until then, my entire pregnancy, I'd never actually swam, and I'd heard good things about swimming, how it takes a lot of pressure off, and just makes you feel light, and it kind of just takes a lot of the pressure or the pain or the discomfort away, because you're just floating. And
yeah, it's so good. The buoyancy just takes a lot of gravity out of the picture, at least momentarily.
Yeah. So that just felt really good, just to kind of hang out and float around in the pool. And so that's what I did. And then my dad had to go to work, and then I was just at home, and probably within, I want to say, a couple hours or so after swimming, maybe not even 2 hours after swimming, I started to feel the slight beginnings of contractions. And at the time, I did not know that they were contractions. I thought, like, oh, maybe this is what Braxton Hicks is that people have been telling me about, because I never experienced that either. And I never really felt like baby drop or anything. So all of these things I'd heard to look out for, or that other moms experience at the end, and I just didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't really feel any of those things happen, and so I didn't know if I was going to go another week or what. So then I started to feel a little bit of that, and it was just kind of mild, and they just continued throughout the day, though, pretty consistently, and they were probably, maybe an hour or so apart, or I think it was about half an hour apart for the good amount of the day. I think they started around 1 o'clock in the afternoon and just went on throughout the afternoon into the evening, and then it was really at night that they started to kick up a notch and get closer together and more intense at that point.
And so up into, say, like the swim, like in that week prior, like you hadn't felt anything? There wasn't anything, no rumblings or anything like that?
No, not really. And maybe I was just, I don't know, maybe I was in La La Land just enjoying the ends of my pregnancy, but I really don't feel like I had any like intense, I never woke up and was like, oh, the baby's low, or, oh, I'm dilating, or, I never had water break, or, I never had a Braxton Hicks. I never had any of that. I'd say the most intense thing I had throughout my pregnancy was some pretty consistently annoying heartburn. Yeah. That was about it.
Okay. So so you were saying like with the swimming, and then things started progressing. When in the evening would you say things were really escalating? Had you gone to bed and woke up in the middle of the night, or was it evening time, like after dinner?
So I want to say it was around I'd say 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. I started to contact Karen Messer, who was our doula, and she's our good friend. And so, I just let her know that, things were kind of how I was doing, how I was feeling. And she kind of just was like, okay, well, just let me know, keep me posted, go to bed, and we'll see how things are going, and let me know if you need me. And at that point, I'd say around, probably got close to it was about 10 o'clock at night. And I told her, okay, I don't think these are little. I think I need you here. Yeah. I need help breathing through them, and they were pretty intense, and I wanted HR to get some sleep. So I actually tried going to bed when he went to bed, and I just couldn't. I could not get into the bed. I couldn't lay down. I had to I was keeled over the side of the bed, just trying to, get through them. They were pretty intense at that point. And so she was like, okay, I'll be right over. And she asked me, what do you want for your last meal? Before the meal. And she was such a great friend. She picked me up some In-N-Out and brought it over, and we let HR sleep because I wanted him to be there for me when I needed him, which I think he appreciated.
Yeah, and for those of you around the world, around the country that don't know what In-N-Out, they're amazing hamburgers. Absolutely amazing hamburgers that people come to Southern California for just to taste. So good for you.
HR's shaking his head. He's a Five Guys guy because he's from the East Coast.
Right. Well, so Kara's a good caretaker in that way. So she comes over, and then what was your labor like during the evening? Or did you go to the hospital then?
No, so she came over and HR went to sleep, and she just helped me breathe through the contractions when they'd come. While I ate my meal, we kind of talked, hung out, laughed, and then HR went to sleep. And then she said, you know what, you have a hot tub here, because we lived in an apartment complex that had a pool and a hot tub. And it was after 10 o'clock, though, so you're not supposed to swim in it. But
you pulled the pregnancy labor card and went in anyway?
Yeah. Well,
good for you.
They don't lock it at night. They just say you're not supposed to. It's just a curfew. So she said, let's go labor in the hot tub. So I was like, okay. So we did. And I labored in the hot tub for about an hour. And at that point, again, it was pretty intense. I don't know what I would have done without her there. But definitely, I think being in the warm water just felt so good and kind of relaxing. And she was just there to I think she was just rubbing my back, pouring water over me, and I was just getting through them and just trying to go to my happy place. And her guidance of how to breathe and keeping it low and open and everything was just really what I needed. Otherwise I might have been, I don't know, screaming instead of just breathing through them. And so that was really helpful. And then so like I said, I labored in the hot tub for about an hour, and then she knew, for whatever reason, I don't know, just she's really experienced. She's been at a lot of births, and she knows something, I guess, changed. And I don't know if it was in my tone, and she knew it was time to go. And so, they were, at this point, they were, I don't know, only a couple minutes apart, and they were intensifying. So she said, okay, let's call HR and have him come down. And so she called HR on her phone and woke him up and said, all right, it's go time. Get everything in the car. We're going. So,
yeah, she knows things. I mean, Kara was our doula at my son's home birth, and she did the same thing, just so positive, knows the ins and outs of things to be able to just guide. And then, when she knows when it's time, we're all right, let's rally. Here we go.
Yeah, she was really intuitive, because I didn't even, it was my first birth, and maybe if it wasn't my first, maybe I would have known something, but I didn't know. Mm-hmm. I just knew that but the first time experiencing, I wouldn't have known that I could even be away from the hospital that whole time, because it was so nice to labor at home. That's really what I wanted to do. And so it was nice that I was able to do that with the comfort of her there, knowing that she would know when it's ready, time to go. And so that was really comforting. And so she just helped me get out of the tub and walk to the car. And that was a process, because I had to keep stopping and then breathe through them.
Right.
And go.
Do you remember what time of night that was?
So this was about, let's see, we probably went to the hot tub about midnight, maybe, trying to remember. Sorry, it's been a while. Yeah. I should have notes in front of me. I want to say it was around, we got to the hospital around 4, right? So it had to be 2 in the morning, I think, that we were laboring in the hot tub, 2 to 3, about there. And then when we left and we got to the hospital, so we lived in San Diego and we were delivering at Scripps Encinitas, so we had a little bit of a drive. And Kara was in the very back. We have a minivan, so Kara was in the back of the minivan with me, and HR was driving us to the hospital. And Kara just left her car, and I again didn't know as much as Kara knew about me, about how I was feeling, what was going on with my body, but she knew when I even transitioned in the car on the way to the hospital.
Wow.
So Yeah.
And so HR, were you like driving like a bat out of hell, or was it just like mellow drive?
Well, luckily, since it was so early in the morning, it was kind of just a mellow drive. My main priority was just to make sure everybody got there safe.
Good.
So I didn't drive crazy or anything like that. I mean, I might have pushed it a little bit over the speed limit, but nothing.
But it wasn't like what you see in the movies of, Amanda screaming into the back seat and like, hurry, hurry, running red lights and the like.
Everything was pretty calm and collected, surprisingly, which I was grateful for because I didn't really know how I was going to react in this situation, and to know that everything was calm was good.
Right. Was there anything that surprised you about yourself or about the process, other than obviously on the other side of it, like everything went amazing, but like what were you feeling during that time? Well, you were asleep for a lot of it, so let's put that in context. But once you were up and ready, like what were you feeling? Were you scared? Were you excited? Both?
Well, I guess I was more surprised at how calm I was with the whole situation. And I do think that the classes and CARES instruction helped out a lot with that, because had I not been prepared, I'm pretty sure I probably would have lost my mind. But the good thing is I got up. I had an initial shock because I just woke up. I was like, what's going on? And then got the bags down to the car, got ready to go, got to the hospital safely, and just kind of followed instructions from there, and everything went well. Yeah.
Cool. So you got to the hospital around 4-ish or so. It doesn't have to be exact. And then how was labor once you were in the hospital?
So, yeah, we got there about 4 a.m. CARES, of course, so HR is walking me to the hospital doors, and I keep stopping for the contractions and then leaning on him and breathing through them, and CARES there kind of helping me breathe through them, hypnobirthing style, and just be calm and exactly what I wanted. And so we keep stopping. We finally get the doors, and it cares all along the way, snapping pictures, of course, which I'm appreciative of. Back at the moment, maybe it was, well, I probably didn't even know she was doing it. But so we get into the hospital, and we don't even, at that point, we don't even really check in. We just get into the room, and I think I said, they gave me like the cup that you have to pee in for whatever reason, and I go into the bathroom, and I don't even think they realized how far along I was in progression in labor, and so I go to the bathroom, and I'm just like, this is not gonna happen. Like, get me on the bed. So I get into the bed and or get into my my labor gown that I had brought my own to be a little more comfortable in. And they checked me, and I was 9.5 centimeters dilated.
Wow.
So pretty good timing.
Yes. And they were surprised by that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I was surprised. Kara didn't know. She said, do you want to know a number? And I said, I do. Good. And
right. Not if it's a low number. I want the high number.
And she didn't actually tell me the number when they found out I was 9.5 centimeters. And I was thinking, why? I thought that was a good number. I don't know if some women, progress slower than others or what, but I think 9.5 sounds great to me. And she didn't even tell me. And then I overheard, I think the nurse say it, and I was like, oh yeah. And I was thinking, I'm glad I didn't have the baby in the car.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, and I think, like I said, we had to skip a lot of the normal stuff that you'd probably do if you're going in there and actually spending hours and hours in the hospital and laboring there. I didn't check in and sign the normal paperwork and do all the, normal procedures probably that a lot of women go through. I just hopped up on the bed and got hooked up. They did have trouble for whatever reason putting an IV in, which I have really good veins, like bulgy, big green veins, and I've never had any issue with giving blood or anything. I would get compliments on my veins, oddly, from those people who take your blood. And it might have been just because I was dehydrated, which I had been drinking tons of water, so I don't think that was it either. I think it's just your body is kind of in like this intense or tense mode going through what it's going through, and it's just like, probably a survival mechanism that it just kind of closes up. So they stabbed me a few times trying to get a vein and having it, and so I did have some bruising later on from that, but they got it finally. And so I think that was probably in the beginning, that was one of the more annoying parts. It's just like, get that in and like, let's move on. But they did have a doctor. So like it was the middle of the night or early morning. So they did have a doctor there ready just in case Dr. Cap did not get there in time. So we had someone there. And the nurse that we had, the delivery nurse, she was amazing. We were so happy that she was there. I felt like she was like an aunt or mom or grandma figure. She was just holding my hand and so calm and just so sweet, and just really felt like she was experienced, and it was great having her there.
Hello? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
Great.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So, and then when was he born?
So he was born at 5:07 a.m.
So you got in the hospital around 4, and an hour later he was here.
Yeah.
That is a quick process.
Yeah, and Dr. Cap, one of the nurses wanted to hold off on calling him, didn't want to wake him until it was actually time, and I think Care and the other, or it might have been the other doctor, and Care and the other nurse were like, she's, gonna have this baby soon, so call him, get him here.
Yeah.
And he literally, like, I think they were I personally was trying to slow my body down. I think one of my fears in giving birth for whatever reason was just the idea of tearing. It just didn't sound pleasant, so I didn't want to do it if it was possible to not do. So I, tried to slow my body down. And I can say that, I mean, there's all these different words and scary things that are thrown around with the idea of birth, especially in like the media. And, I know some people have more negative experiences or difficult labor and birth, but I'd say the word I'd use to describe like the discomfort of birth is just pressure. Like I wouldn't say it was painful or that it was like, hard or that it was just excruciating, anything really intense like that. It was just a lot of pressure that you feel. And it makes sense. It's a human, a little human coming through a smaller part of your body that's expanding for the first time. And so it felt like a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And then just having Care, though, help me breathe through them. And I felt like my body was doing the pushing without me wanting to push. So rather than me, I think in the movies they say like push, and then they're just like bearing down everything they've got to push this baby out. And I was not doing that. My body was pushing it out, pushing the baby out. I was trying to actually hold back and slow it down because I wanted it to be like smooth and, ease the baby out versus just like shooting the baby out and tearing.
Right. And so you felt like you were able to do that.
Yeah. So I was slowing. And up until the point Cap did get there just in the nick of time to catch the baby. Got there. And I think there was a point where he said, okay, I do need you to push now. And it was because one of two things, either the baby's heart rate looked like it was going down, or the monitor at that point, I think the monitor that's over your belly, the baby is so low that it doesn't get a good reading. So it can appear that the baby has a lower heart rate. So just, for safety, they then want you to actually get the baby out. So then I just pushed, and I want to say I pushed maybe 2-3 times, and the baby came out. Oh, and I should also mention, my water hadn't broken up until this point. The baby my water was in front of the baby. So it was a bit of a splash zone at the Shamu show sort of thing for everybody.
Good thing Dr. Cap got there in time for that, right?
Dr. Cap, Care, everybody got a little bit of that. But yeah, and then baby was here, and they put him on my chest, and at the time I didn't know it was a him, and so I lifted him up and looked, and I said it's a boy, and turned to HR and told him it was a boy, and we were just so excited and surprised and happy, and it was a really great moment.
Fantastic. So Barrett comes into the world with a splash, right?
Yes.
water in the pool the day before kind of helped him come along, and then he added his own little story to it as well.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. And so how is Barrett right afterwards?
So he was good. He cried. He definitely had some good lungs when he came out. I think he came out crying.
Yeah.
I put him on my chest and he did like the breast crawl and eventually latched. And, I feel like it was all kind of a whirlwind, but of excitement and just so much love. I don't know. Everybody says you don't know love until you have a baby, but it's so true. I feel like our hearts were so full in that moment. And so looking back, it's almost just hard to even describe like the feeling and what we went through, but I just was holding him, and HR was there with me holding my hand and had a hand on Barrett, and it was really special.
Nice. And what was it like for you, HR, finding out you had a boy and being with Amanda through that experience?
Well, finding out that we had a boy was kind of a shock for me because I had a feeling that we were going to have a girl.
Yeah.
Disappointed by any means. I was happy either way. I just kind of had an initial feeling that we might have a girl. But with Amanda, basically my main role in that whole situation was to just make sure that she was comforted. Amanda's asked me like, did you see him come out or anything like that? And I'm unfortunately one of those people that get a little queasy when it comes to medical things.
Do you?
Yeah. So
So he stayed close to me. End of thing.
Right. So I basically just wanted to make sure that she was comfortable and that I was doing anything that she needed me to do. Other than that, just being overall happy that it was a healthy birth and that everything went well was the main priority. I think, I don't want to speak for a lot of fathers or upcoming fathers, but I know the fear of something going wrong with either your child or your wife or significant other, whatever the case may be, can be terrifying. So to know that everybody was just happy and healthy made me happy. And that was my main priority going into that. So,
right. And also having I can speak as a father too, because I had the same thing. Like I had a really strong birth team around me that I trusted, and so then when I thought things were, possibly going sideways, I could look around at the midwife or care who was our doula and kind of give them a look like, are we okay? Is everything good? And then when they gave me a thumbs up, everything's fine, then I could trust that and then just get back to supporting Effie. And that's, absolutely essential that you have that around you as a father, because our protector comes up, right? And sometimes dads, and speaking to a lot of dads, we feel powerless because we don't really know what to do. And even though we want to protect, we don't know what to do and what not to do and when to intervene and when not. And that's when that team can really help us and direct.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely had that same visual communication with care where I would look back and forth to her and be like, okay, is everything going all right? And then kind of what Amanda was explaining with the nurse trying to figure out whether they should call Dr. Cap or not call Dr. Cap, that could have been that was a frustrating point for me. So I looked at care, and I'm very grateful for her because she took care of that whole situation. Because I definitely didn't want to get into that and
have a different doctor deliver.
Right, and I didn't want to bring a negative energy into the room by getting upset or angry. So I had to trust in care and what she was doing, and know that she had the experience along with these nurses, and that this is my first time. There's nothing I can really do, and to trust the process.
Right. Well, you guys did amazing. Amanda, you did amazing. I remember right after the birth, Care telling me about how you labored and how everything went so well at the hospital. And so it's long overdue on the podcast, but congratulations to you both. it's an amazing process that you guys went through. I really appreciate you sharing it with our listeners. And as I was saying before, lots of people have been asking, like, all right, so what happened with the birth? What happened with the birth? It's been a year already. So thank you for coming back and sharing that. You guys are obviously away in Arizona, and so that's like been a big shift, and you're going through the changes that little baby goes from newborn to toddler very quick, and maybe sometime we could come back and share that experience as well to see how the parenthood gig is going.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, that there's a lot of changes in the very beginning that I remember very well, just going from not being a parent to being a parent, having a newborn, and all the fun that goes with that. And then all the changes over the last year have been really fun.
Yeah, good. Well, we'll talk about that next time. Again, thank you guys for coming on and sharing, and best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. For more information about this episode and other natural childbirth and parenting topics, please visit us at capwellnesscenter.com or message us on our Facebook page with any questions you might have. We here at the Cap Wellness Center look forward to helping you and your family be as happy and healthy as you can be.